I'm Nolan Beilstein, and welcome to another episode of Gen Z in Manufacturing, a podcast where I interview young people about their journeys in manufacturing, how they intend to influence the industry, and what they are looking for from an employer. For this episode, I welcome Thomas Lesueur, a 26-year-old student pursuing a Ph.D. in microelectronics at the University of Sherbrooke in Canada, in partnership with IBM. Lesueur said he first became interested in manufacturing during a one-week internship with a company that specialized in composite materials, where his father worked as an R&D director. His education includes a bachelor's degree in physics and chemistry and a master's in nanophysics and microelectronics. His current research involves self-alignment of silicon bridges for high-performance electronics and focuses on leveraging the capillary forces of solder paste to achieve precise alignment of the bridges during the reflow process. Lesueur presented some of the work at this year's Electronic Components and Technology Conference. Before we hear from Lesueur, please make sure to like and share this episode of Gen Z in Manufacturing. To view previous episodes, visit manufacturing.net. If you are a member of Gen Z and would like to discuss your experience in the manufacturing industry, please get in touch with me, Nolan Beilstein, at nolan@ien.com. All right, Thomas, well, thank you for joining Gen Z in Manufacturing. I wanted to start off talking about the internship that you mentioned to me in our email exchange. You said it was 1 week long. We typically think of internships as something that goes on for a few months. So how did a 1 week internship capture your attention?
Yeah, in fact, it was when I was, as you said, around 14 years old. My school asked me and the other students to do a 1 week internship just to discover a new domain. And as I mentioned, I was really interested, in what my dad was doing at the time. And basically was working in a company specialized in composite materials. And he was always talking about what he was doing at his job. So it was the right opportunity to discover what he was doing. And I was, first of all, blown away by the size of the manufacturing, all the different equipments and their complexity. And of course, I didn't have the right to do some manipulations on it. I was just here, to watch what they were doing here. But meeting new people, engineers, technicians, and so on, really persuaded me to continue in this area, basically.
You mentioned that your father's work as a R&D director influenced your path. Just how did having him already in the field influence you into going into something in the manufacturing industry?
Yep. In fact, when growing up, I had the opportunity to discuss with him more with details on what he was doing, and the fact that I was able to understand a bit more every day what he was talking to me was the main fact. And I was so impressed on what the kind of knowledge he had at the time. So basically, that's what really influenced me, being able to understand scientific stuff, language, and so on, was the main point that decided me to continue in this area.
Yeah, a few people that I've talked to on this series before said they had no clue that there was a career they could pursue in manufacturing because nobody in their family was doing it. So in your opinion, how do you think that manufacturing companies can reach out and make contact with the people who have an interest, who could be good at it, but just don't know about it?
I think the main point is to create an interest, but keep the fun part of it in the area, because I know that manufacturing does not look sexy when you're 14 years old, but maybe doing small career events, maybe watching some stuff on the social medias. I've seen some community managers doing really funny stuff to promote the manufacturing environment. So basically, the main point is to be interested in first, or being curious, and then learning few things, going to workshops, career events can help more to grow the interest for the younger ones.
In France, what educational path do people who are interested in manufacturing typically take? Do they go to universities? Do they go to trade or vocational schools? What do they do?
But they usually go to universities. There are different length of programs that you can take. You can take a shorter path, such as a bachelor's degree, for example, or more of a technique school. But the main program is called like engineering school that we have in France. It's basically the same stuff as a master's degree in science. But all my friends and I did the master's degree in physics or engineering. But yeah, I remarked something here because now I'm in Canada, and I really have the feeling that they're really more open-minded on like more of the experience more than the studies. A lot of my colleagues in Canada stopped after doing the bachelor's degree, and they were really welcomed in the industry. And in France, it's the mentality is very different. Even if you have like a PhD, you're not going to get easy. You're not going to get like better jobs, or it's not really going to be easier for you. And for example, my dad wanted to be an engineer, so basically it's a master's degree, and he had to do a PhD to be able to, like, it's a bit of the rush of getting the highest diploma possible to get a job that does not match with the real studies that you did. And if here in North America, it's, I think, really interesting because I could have stopped after the bachelor's degree if I did the whole studies here. And I really like the mentality of like learning skills directly from your colleagues at the factory, which is so different than France, where you have to do like 8 years of university to be able to get a job. Yeah, in France, there was like a rush. So if at the end of the 90s, yeah, everybody wanted to get the highest diploma possible. So now you're going to have a higher diploma related to the job that you really want. So that's a bit of a different mentality. So that's why I really want to stay here, and more specifically in US after the PhD.
Yeah, you mentioned some people will do a technical school. Why did you decide university over a technical school?
Yeah. In fact, at the time, my mind wasn't clear enough to find the right domain. So I just wanted to learn as much as possible. And it means that the idea was like growing in my head. And after a few years of university, that's where I decided that I wanted to do like microelectronics. It depends if your idea is very clear since the beginning, you can do a technical school. But in my opinion, it's easier to let the process mature in your head. And then once it's the right time, you decide which field you want to go in.
You mentioned that you joined a work study while you were pursuing your master's. How did that experience influence your career to go deeper into microelectronics?
In fact, when I was doing the first year of my master's program, I had to do a small internship. I mean, small, it was 4 months long, but I was in a company called Soitec, which is basically a company specialized in the wafer production, which is the beginning of the supply chain in microelectronics. And I enjoyed it so much that it was clear for me that I did not want to do like academic stuff. And that was the first reason. Then doing the half time at school and half time at the company enabled me to be more professional, evolving in the environment with like professionals, giving me so much advice. So basically, that was the starting point of going to the industry.
What was the best advice you got from mentors during that internship?
Basically, when I started, I just wanted to do the things as fast as possible, and the results were not always great. So they just told me like to have a precise plan on your mind and then do it step by step. Don't force it, don't rush. And that's basically how you get good results.
Do you think the way that you thought is how a lot of young people go about when they're starting a new career?
Basically, when you start, you're like fresh and young, and you don't want to waste time like doing not interesting stuff, and you try to do as much as possible. But that's not really the way to do it. You have to be more concise and do it step by step, and try not to lose what is the real point of it. And basically, it takes time. You have to be bit more mature, but that's some experience that you need to have. to find out how it really works in the industry.
What interests you the most about microelectronics?
The thing I like the most is like having small electronic chips that can provide so much around us. For example, we have internet, satellites, and so on. So it's a very interesting way to understand like the technological environment around us. And I'm always excited every day when I go to the lab. I know for sure that I'm going to learn new stuff.
A lot of people on here on this series have said they want purpose in their work. They want to see why what the work they're doing matters. So where does that purpose show up in the work you do?
In fact, the work I'm doing is going to provide way much cheaper solution for high performance computing and electronics. So if it's cheaper, it's going to be more affordable for us to get new technologies. That's basically the plan. And in fact, yeah, I mean, it's not real sexy when you're doing like electronic chips. You don't see the exact result at the time, but I plan it on the 10 next years, for example, to get real results about that. And the solutions that we are implementing are going to reduce the carbon emissions in the atmosphere. So I also have the benefits from like the ecological point of it.
Is it important to you at a workplace to work with people you like?
Yeah, of course, it's like 80% of the well-being at the job.
Mhm.
If you're like surrounded by angry people that you don't want to see every day, it's not gonna help you to get good results and work in a like peaceful environment. I mean, uh, I have the example of the people I'm meeting at IBM, the company I'm working with. So they are really, really interesting and great people, and I'm always learning from them. And on the other hand, I have my colleagues at my lab that are like more or more, most of them are students, and I really enjoy the quality time that I spent with them. So it's more of a balance between like having fun and having like professional stuff in a peaceful environment.
Yeah, I think in the United States, at least, the old way of thinking was that you just go to work, do what you're told, and doesn't matter if you're happy or not. But it
Mm.
sounds like young people don't really think that way. Are you getting that sense among the rest of people your age?
I was very lucky because everybody I met so far like were really great people, and I didn't feel the fact that I had to do the work without enjoying it. So on my mind, it was a bit of a mix of having a great job that you like to do and having great colleagues, like very like sympathetic colleagues. And I mean that the way of thinking just changed. I mean, in the past 50 years, you had to go to the factory, do the job, and then quit at the end of the day. You basically had a 9 to 5 job where you didn't really have a word to say about that. And now I feel that my colleagues and I don't want to have bad time at the lab. We also work for our projects, but we also go to the lab to have like quality moments with them.
Do you think young people, Gen Z, understand the importance of maintaining independent thinking, or do you get the sense that they're becoming too reliant on technology?
And you're right about that. In fact, all my supervisors always told me to be careful about technology and don't rely on it too much. But with the beginning of AI, sorry, it's more complicated. Like I feel that most of young people try to do as much as possible with AI, and it's really complicated for them to distinguish like their own work and social work skills, and also the fact that they rely too much on AI. So we have to be careful about that for sure.
Do you think that companies are or manufacturing companies are welcoming technology, or do they share these concerns, or are they at least receptive and open to introducing new technologies in their workplace?
As far as I know, my supervisors don't really enjoy it too much that I use or we use AI and technology, but they are tending to accept it a bit more. And of course, you have to get your own knowledge, but if you can rely on it a bit, it's acceptable. And I think in like bigger companies, they want to get solutions with AIs that could increase like the production volumes and help with the different tasks. So it's a bit of a mix, but once again, we don't need to necessarily use AI to do everything we are going to do in the lab and at the company.
I mean, I think I agree that just a lot of young people generally want to use the technology that's available to them. So, in terms of how people prefer to learn and work, what is the biggest change you have noticed when you split time between your
Mhm.
university, where you're working with people your own age, and then a professional setting like IBM, where some of the workers are a little bit older? What is the biggest change you have noticed
Yeah.
in between work patterns?
I mean, when I go to the lab, I see all my colleagues doing their researches on ChatGPT and so on, and that's basically way faster. But we have to be careful about the quality of the results that we get from it, because it's not yet the best way of getting results. I agree that it's really, really fast, but it could lead to some errors, sorry, in the results. And when I go to IBM, I haven't seen any of my colleagues using AI and ChatGPT. So it's a bit of a splitted world. I'm trying to take some advice from each others, but it's really difficult sometimes to find the perfect way to collect information.
Should companies should they put a priority on showing young people that they are at least open to trying new technology?
I'm almost sure that they need at least to have a discussion about that, because if both parts are close to the discussion, it's not going to help the debate. So basically, what I'm learning from them is that I have to like learn from them on the professional skills and knowledge environment, and they should not be closed for a debate on how to use new technologies, but I'm sure that their way of thinking is also as good as ours, because they have like 20 or 30 years of experience in the domain. So I won't feel like able to say to an older colleague that he's not thinking the right way. So I have to learn from them, and I think it's important that they're a bit open-minded on it.
What is your dream job after you finish school and your PhD work, your research? What is in your perfect world? What are you doing?
My dream job would be like traveling to meet new customers. I don't want to be really stuck in the same project for years. And I also want to provide some of my knowledge and try to find solutions for them. That basically would be a great opportunity for me. And I also want a bit of flexibility. Uh, for now, when I'm working, I basically choose my schedules. If I want to work really late, I can do it also. But doing a 9 to 5 for me wouldn't be ideal.
But when you're talking about the career you want to be a part of, and your work doing a lot of work in microelectronics, what do you think the microelectronics industry can do to bring in more young talent and attract young people?
I really think that they have to show like graphic images of what it represents. If you have like long reports, it's not going to bring new people here. What we really need is like fancy images, like technology videos and so on. So I think that they should like promote it even more on social medias. And that's what I'm seeing currently, specifically on LinkedIn, for example. I'm seeing like hundred of videos popping every day. So it makes us a bit more curious every day.
Thank you for watching this episode of Gen Z in Manufacturing. Please make sure to like and share the episode. To view previous episodes, visit manufacturing.net. If you are a member of Gen Z and would like to discuss your experience in the manufacturing industry, please contact Nolan Beilstein at nolan@ien.com.